Hello, hello, Ederson Oliveira here. This is the 10th interview with the DNN Summit 2017 presenters, and I have with me Peter Donker. Peter, please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your session.
I'm Peter Donker. You might know me from Bring to Mind, the MX module. You might know me from DNN Connect, the conference series that we have in Europe and the organization we have around that. My session will be about creating your own admin panel in DNN 9. And I guess that's new for you, because it is new for me too. So I hope you'll come to my session, and undoubtedly I will have discovered a couple of things that are pretty interesting to talk about.
Perfect. Okay, so as I read through your session description, which is creating your own admin panel for DNN 9, I see that you mentioned you put a PS and hey, if DNN 9 is ready or not, it depends, and I may have to go one way or another way. My question to you is DNN 9 ready for your session?
Okay, so yeah, no, I think that DNN 9 is now out for DNN 9 now out for 4 days, so it's a bit early to tell if DNN 9 can do everything that I expect it to do. I have some ideas in my head that I want to realize, and it's not. For me, it's not yet sure if DNN 9 can do all those things, but there are some very good examples already on the web about how to do this stuff. Usually, what I find in any case is when a new feature comes out, you do the hello world thing, and then you drag it into your own world, like, okay, so but now can it do that? What I want it to do for me, and I do have some ideas about that. And most specifically, for me, the biggest use case is when you have a larger application and you have some settings that you want to manage at a portal level. This is really not very uncommon. Think of NB Store, for instance, the great solution for managing a small online store made by NavalWeb. They have an admin panel, a very large admin panel that you then have to install, on a special admin page. Go to the admin, add a page to my admin menu, and put the module there. Then it overrides the whole skin and everything because it's very complex. A lot of stuff is happening, and that for me is where I see the persona bar having a very specific advantage for us module developers. Like, could we leverage that technology to say, okay, now I also have an admin screen. Could I roll that into a persona bar extension, and then it just sits there, you click on it, etc., and it would be a much better user experience. Of course, I mean, this would give us a great new tool with DNN moving forward.
Got it. Okay, so I'm assuming based on what you're telling me, that you haven't had a chance to look under the hood of DNN 9 yet, have you?
I have. I did one sweep. I'll admit I did one sweep, and that was in about four weeks ago. There were betas, or I don't know what they call them nowadays, just builds, nightly builds. And I saw a presentation by Ash. I was like, okay, well, let's look in depth, installed it, and rolled it out, and tuned in. Yeah, it kind of, there's nothing extremely complex going on, right? It is basically just rendering an HTML piece that you give it out to the screen. And it pops it into the screen, from the left and everything. What is interesting to find out is of course, like, how does that really hook it? Do I have control over where it goes in the menu? For instance, those kind of details I didn't look too deeply into. But when I saw what was being done, I was like, well, it should be possible, really, from my perspective. As long as I have a portal context, and you give me some screen real estate, I can make an admin UI that controls the portal-wide settings for a module. So my guess is, from what I've seen, that shouldn't be too hard. Now, one thing that became evident when I delved into the code of DNN 9, and this might be familiar to those that have opened up the solution, is there's a lot of stuff happening there now with React. And the reason I chose this topic was, first of all, I felt it needed to be done. I mean, we need to have some, at least one session on how to create admin panels. And I've played quite a bit with React by now. And so I felt that at least that would not be a challenge for me. I was like, okay, I can focus on the bits and pieces of like, how does this fit with DNN? Because already for a couple of years or for a year and a half, I've been playing around with React and seeing how React could jive well with module development. Not everyone comes at it from that angle, right? You have many React experts, of course, out there, but like how do you wire your data to your component correctly in the DNN model where you're contained in a little box on a web page that is not yours, right? You just come through it and you have to somehow, and all you get is like, this is your module ID and, this is your portal ID, and you figure out how to make React work there. So that is a world where I'm relatively comfortable in. And now I'm going to try to take that to the admin panel. So you may well see bits and pieces as well from that experience come into the session. That is what I'm expecting in any case, because of all the React stuff I've been doing.
Got it. Okay, so let's just step back for a second there, Peter. You mentioned that you have some contact with React.js. So yes. Was React your choice of, UI JavaScript framework before, or you tried React.js, but you had also been working with other frameworks as well?
Okay, so I think for many of us, I'd like to say this, like from 2005 to 2015, I think I have been, and many of my colleagues in DNN, more or less asleep at the wheel, working comfortably in web forums and say, okay, well, if I need to change something, just post back to the server, bring it back to the screen. It all goes well. The programming model is really simple. I figured out exactly how the framework works. I can build anything you want. And by 2015 or something, as soon as we heard more rumors of like, web forums, that's kind of sunset, and everything is going there, and all of a sudden you're like, I heard about all this stuff happening in JavaScript, but frankly, who cares from my perspective? So to just give it a shot, I did a module in Angular. It was a great experience. Did everything that I could at the time with Angular. I did feel, of course, like you always do with DNN development as well, that you have to jump through various hoops to make sure that your context of being a little box in a web page that you don't control, it brings a whole bunch of extra stuff with it. What I didn't like was the fact that Angular 2 had been announced, and there was a lot of noise in this community. People were saying, oh, no, but, you've got to learn everything again. And I was like, geez, it's so much to learn already. And then React came along, and I was browsing basically, okay, so where is this market going? Like what can you bet on? Is it going to be Angular 2 or what? And watched a few presentations about it, recognized some of the criticism that React had vis-a-vis Angular. I was like, that's right, indeed. It was a big thing, like a lot of the stuff that I didn't use basically in Angular, and it wasn't necessarily to have a single page application for me. It was to to have sync in screen state, more or less, and that is where React, of course, really shines. So I just tried it, liked it, and I moved forward with it and solved a lot of the issues I had. Again, how do you do this with DNN in the DNN module? And the latest thing I've done to really complicate my life, because basically that's what we do as programmers. Every time we go to a new technology, we basically have to take 3 steps back. is TypeScript. So I'm rolling, and ES6, so ECMAScript 6 programming, TypeScript thrown into the equation. All of a sudden the code really looks very, very, very different to what I was creating a couple of years ago. And it's as much frustrating as it is exciting, because there's a lot to gain, of course, from using these technologies. At the same time, it's one heck of a learning curve. I mean, this is very, very complex stuff to get it. It's very frustrating sometimes. So yeah, I hope to bring some of those frustrations to my session. And
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. Actually, I'm hoping to watch your session as well, because even though I have been slow in terms of module development, I have not been touching module development too much lately. But when I dabbled around UI coding, I did with Angular. So just being a bit egocentric here, if I'm coming from the Angular angle, will I have too much difficulty going to React?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, frameworks are frameworks. I think very quickly you're gonna see. Hopefully, that is what I'll be able to bring across as well as like where the strength is of React vis-a-vis Angular, and you'll see that there's a whole part missing that you get for free with Angular, that is just not there, and it's not there for a reason, because it's not their philosophy to do that bit. So they said, no, we're going to focus on state in your UI, and to keep that in sync and everything. And we provide the tools for that. And there's a very neat mechanism with which they do this. So if that is the I always say, with tools, it's like, if that is the nail you want to drive, this is a great hammer. But Angular, the Angular might not be the greatest hammer for that. But then again, you might be faced with a screw, and all of a sudden this hammer is not the right tool for it. So again, I hope, well, the takeaway would be like, this is another tool in your arsenal, and I think it's a great tool for some jobs that are out there.
Got it. So from your session, people should be expecting to see coding there. Is that kind of, it goes to that level
Usually,
of?
Yeah, usually that's part of it. I like code, so there's going to be code there. But the challenge is always I like to, or I challenge usually people saying, okay, well, now go to a real world example, like take something that is actually a bit more complex. We get stuck usually in endless presentations, hello world presentations, right? So it's like, okay, so type, and there's hello world, and then boom, hit the return button, and you see hello world somewhere, and everyone's like, okay, well, that worked. But the thing is, this is not what we program every day, unfortunately. Usually we have to program something pretty complex, and then all of a sudden you start to run into the real problems that are out there when you're trying to acquire a new technology. And my ambition level is always to go there, to make it more of like a 300, 400 type session, but that usually means a lot of code. So I'm going to have to choose at some point, and I will do this in the run up to the presentation, to the event actually, to say, okay, well, is it going to be more advanced? And I assume that people will have some working knowledge of React already, or is it going to be more like 101 React, and like, how do you hook that into the panel? I'm still in two minds about that.
Are you going to be following more or less the guidance or the content that Ash Prasad from DNN Corp has been publishing? Because I mean, he has been actively publishing, how to, and guides and blog posts about the persona bar and how to enhance, how to create your own views. Are you going to be using some of that material as well? I mean,
I expect to more or less follow it. I've been reading his posts as they came out. Of course, the goal of his posts was right from the ground up. So it was the hello world type approach. My job is to translate, or to take what he made and put it into my world and say, okay, well, this is how it would work, if you're a real world module developer and you do this for a living. Like how does that work then for you? What are the things to watch out for?
Perfect. Okay, so Peter, you have sprinkled that through our conversation so far, but I want to specifically ask you what is the one thing that you want people to leave your session either knowing, being aware of, and wanting more after your session?
I think the one core thing is, can I use this meaningfully in a module to extend it so that I can manage settings or whatever you want for my module? Like, is this a technology that is going to help me solve that or not?
Got it. Okay. Okay, perfect. So, unless you have anything else to add to your session, otherwise, I would like to jump quickly here, just a 2-3 minutes thing to give you a chance to report on DNN Connect, which you are
Absolutely.
one of the organizers.
Yes, yeah. So indeed, I mean, we have our annual event coming up again next year. We're shifting it a bit later. It's going to be in the beginning of June. Again in Spain, we've decided to repeat last year's venue because we could not find a lot wrong with last year's venue, and even though we had an initial ambition level to go to each and every European country, we find that it is a lot of work to go to a new location, which often we need someone there locally, and then there's all kinds of stuff to work out, like what is the internet connection. There's always something that we run into, like what is it like? How does it hold out when all of us arrive and we all put our whip out our phones? And we find that every year it's a surprise, basically, even though the people are very nice when they're on site and they say, yes, of course, we have this covered and we have this great internet connection. Once the event rolls out, things happen. So to repeat it in the same place is just a great opportunity because we know, okay, well, we've got those, all those bases covered. The food is great. The Wi-Fi is good. The rooms are good. The hospitality is great. Location is great. It's rural, that we always like to do, right? We like to do things a bit off the beaten path, not in a city center. So not too many distractions. All of us in the same site. A 24-hour or a 24-hour bar, I should say. The bar runs late into the night. Let's say, like it doesn't close. We run it ourselves. I think that all builds into this atmosphere of community that we really, that is what we aim for every time. It's us. We do it by us, for us, and it's gonna be great doing it again. I know we had a lot of people over last year, maybe about 130 people that came. I expect that we're going to beat those numbers this year. Given the success we had last year, we'll see. Sponsors are coming in, so also here a small message to those thinking about sponsoring. Don't hesitate to contact me, ask me about details, whatever. Our door is open, and yeah, as far as registrations, because those people are saying, but where can I register? Hold on, that's not happening yet. That will come. I believe we're targeting the 1st of February to open for registration. Right now, sponsors and call for speakers is out. So if you have an idea, bring it to us, and yeah, we're in business for that.
Very good, very good. Again, I hope that one day I'll be joining you guys there. With actually with my family as well, because I think that would be a great trip for the entire family.
Today I saw just now an ad, apparently very cheap flights from the US to Europe. I thought it didn't exist because whenever my friends tell me in the US, like, hey, but we've got to pay $2,000 to go over to Europe. And I've checked it the other day, and indeed I was getting all these ridiculously high prices, whereas we only pay 800 or 900 to go over there. But now there was, I don't know, there's an ad that passed, and I was like, okay, well, that actually there are reasonably priced flights out there, and you know that with us you get a package, right? So it's we take care of lodging, we take care of food, we take care of drink, and the conference itself. So basically you pay us what was it last year, 350 euros roundabouts, and you're set for 4 days. That's it. Nothing else to pay. You leave your wallet in your room. There's nothing else to do.
Very good, very good. So Peter, thank you very much for showing up today, for being the last one in this series of 10 interviews that I have done so far. Again, you are the very last one, so it's really an honor to have you on the last one of my stretch.
Thank you, Olivier. It's Alison. Sorry, I will repeat that. You can cut that out. Thank you, Alison.
No, you know what? I'm not cutting that out. Peter, thank you very much again.
I was like, because everyone always keeps calling you Anderson, of course. But I was okay. I didn't fall for that one. Didn't call you Anderson. I called you.
Anyway, Peter, again, thank you very much
Anderson.
for being here, and I'll see you in Denver.
No, but thank you for everything that you've been doing for the community. I mean, for years I've seen the stuff that you've done for DNN. You are the prime, go-to guy when it comes to making YouTube videos about what we do. I think that's really great. I wish I had the energy and the devotion to do it and the know-how to do it, but I'm just a simple programmer. I'm happy you do this kind of stuff, so thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. See you guys. Bye.